Charlie Kirk got murdered by one of his own. Let me say it again so it can sink in. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by one of his own. Let me break it down. Not black, not brown, not Muslim, not Arab, not Palestinian, not Latino, not immigrant, not LGBTQIA, not Democrat. So who is he? Meet Tyler Robinson. I mean, names don't come more American and more white than that. A white, American, cisgendered male, Christian from a pro-Trump loving Republican family. I mean, Maga must be in chaos because how are they going to spin this? This is not a lefty that did this, but a righty. Let me just reiterate for those at the back. Tyler Robinson killing Charlie Kirk was absolutely and totally wrong. Evil. How dare you kill him and take his life because you don't like him and hate his views? What the hell? So for those of you who are incapable of understanding that multiple truths coexist, I am not you. Because you see, I can condemn the manner in which Charlie Kirk was killed and still find that Charlie Kirk was a repugnantly racist, white supremacist, white nationalist, anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, homo, transphobic, Zionist bigot. Oh, you don't like what I just said? You find it offensive? You see that cue? Go join it. I say this with my full chest. I am glad that the killer of Charlie Kirk is not black, brown, Muslim, Arab, Palestinian, trans, immigrant, Latino, or any of the demographics that Charlie Kirk spent his entire existence targeting for his self-serving political interests. Because you know that if there had been any of those demographics, the entire apparatus of hate, power, and influence from the right would have been tsunamied against all of these demographics, regardless of innocence or guilt. So now I'm going to sit back and watch the right-wingers and far-right eat their feces and faces after spending the last few days threatening and declaring war on the left and everybody else. Because you know what? It seems to me, Mr. Musk, that it is not the left that is a party of murder, but the right. And since you right-wingers won't leave yourselves in peace, by all means, go fight and die by yourselves. Yet is a war, all right, on the right. Oh, yes, Mr. Fox News, all you right-wingers are accountable since it's a righty that killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, squabble up. Go fight yourselves since the talking is over. The caucasity of comparing Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King Jr.? You people must be mad. Get out of here. Watch out for the headlines as they humanize Tyler Robinson as this 22-year-old university student born and raised in Utah in a very white American conservative Christian Republican MAGA-loving family. And poof. No more outrage. But they will still find ways to blame us for a white man's deed.
He's not black. Charlie Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson, he's not black. He's not trans. He's not Muslim. He's not an immigrant. He is not a Democrat. Meet Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson. He is a white, Christian, conservative, Republican male with a gun again. And statistically, when all of this was going on, when Fox News started declaring war, when Jesse Waters and Laura Ingraham, which recklessly tried to rile up their base that somehow the left was in charge of this, statistically, I knew that this was probably a white male, as all shooters are. And this seems to be MAGA grown terrorism. MAGA is a culture that embraces unrestricted access to guns at all times. They want guns to have more rights than women. This is the don't tread on me crowd. This is the crowd that if anybody steps out of line to their dear leader, they get death threats, even within their own party. You can go no further than to ask Mitt Romney or John McCain before he died of a brain tumor. This is what happens to anybody who steps out of line with the cult leader. But Fox News and these right-wing influencers would have you believe that people like us that want people to have health care, that want a safe place for Charlie Kirk to have gone and done his job. I wanted Charlie Kirk to be able to go do what he wanted to do. Even though I disagree with all of the hateful shit that he says, the world that I want to live in is a place where Charlie Kirk is not shot. And so what they've done, what Fox News and all of these right-wing influencers, putting targets on so many liberals' backs. They've started a whole website about Charlie's murderers and listing people online and doxing them. And this is a homegrown problem.
You know, folks, we're still learning about Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's assassin. He was a 22-year-old white kid from Utah, from a Trump-supporting family. His grandmother came out and said they were all Maga, they were all Trump supporters, and she was very confused as to why her grandson would do something like this, because everything that I've read about him, he was an extremely quiet kid, and people really didn't know where he stood on things. It doesn't matter, though. Maga will continue to double down on their lie that this kid was left-leaning, even though the Guardian went back and retracted statements that they made about an individual who said they knew Tyler Robinson and that he leaned to the left. They retracted that and put out this statement. This article was updated on September 12th to remove quotes after the verified source who attended high school with Tyler Robinson said after publication that they could not accurately remember the details of their relationship. That's not stopping Maga, though, from continuing to go out there and say this kid was radical left. Jesse Waters is absolutely doubling down, quadrupling down on this because they are the ones that wants a war, and they're the ones that are saying it. I mean, it's not me saying it. That's what they're saying. We're over here denouncing political violence. We're over here saying we want to see an end to it. I said in a previous video, I'll be glad to shake your hand if you'll unclench your fist. But no matter what we say, we get labeled radical left, and this kid's going to be labeled radical left no matter what happens next. But one of the most interesting about faces that I've seen came from Nancy Mace, who went out there and said some transphobic remarks and was pushing the narrative that this was going to be a blue-haired trans kid when it all came out. And this is disturbing to watch, so I'll give you all a trigger warning up front. But this was Nancy Mace before she realized that it was a white kid. Take a look.
This shit ends. Like, enough is enough. And now I have to deal with real safety concerns. It sounds like the shooter was a tranny or pro-tranny. And just because I want to protect women, that I'm worried about getting murdered? Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of control, and enough is enough. And I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this shit stops.
Now, I want to drive home the point that at the time she's saying that, there's no evidence whatsoever to back up her claim. But she's putting that out there into the world, and she's stirring up all sorts of hatred, unnecessary hatred that will be heaped upon the trans community. But when she found out that it was a white kid, she did a complete about-face. And if you go over to the dumpster fire that is X and look at her Twitter feed now,
it has been so frustrating to watch Republicans over the past 24 hours just spread blatant misinformation and straight up lie about Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting Charlie Kirk. They've really run with any narrative to paint this guy as a crazy far left lunatic who shot Charlie Kirk because he's so liberal, when in reality, we have no idea what this guy believed. We have no idea if he was left-wing, right-wing, an extreme of either side, because authorities have not confirmed anything. And so far, the evidence that the public has been able to dig up has been nothing concrete. We have no idea. And actually, one of the main pieces of evidence that Republicans ran with to paint this guy as a liberal, a leftist crazy lunatic, has now been retracted. It's no longer published. They're now correcting themselves. This story, which we talked about on this channel, you might have seen. It's publication, it's a reporting, I should say, from The Guardian, where they wrote that the suspect's high school friend said that Robinson was the only leftist in a family of very hard Republicans. Their exact quote from this anonymous source who went to school with Robinson was, quote, "He was the only member of his family that was really leftist, and that he was pretty left on everything. The rest of his family was very hard Republican." Republicans took this story from The Guardian and ran with it, and they used it to paint the guy as a leftist, a crazy lunatic. But this reporting has now been retracted. I mean, this might be the craziest editor's note I've ever seen, but The Guardian added this into their article, saying this article was updated on the 12th of September, 2025, to remove quotes after the verified source who attended high school with Tyler Robinson said after publication that they could not accurately remember details of their relationship. I mean, a major, major mess up. And this quote, that quote that we just read from The Guardian, has gone far and wide. Every single Republican influencer count and Fox News and all these different MAGA media figures have run with it to spread a narrative. Now, will they offer a correction, a retraction on what they said? No, they will not. No, they will not. And I've checked. I've looked at some of the major MAGA accounts in preparation for this video to see if any of them, just one, offered a correction on there, claiming that this guy was left-wing based on the Guardian reporting. Not a one. Not a one. And I do want to reiterate that, we don't know if this guy was left-wing or right-wing, and it's so frustrating to see people jump the gun. It's always a safe bet to wait for the facts come out. It's never a safe bet to jump the gun. I don't know more than the authorities, so I'm not going to sit here to you and speculate and lead you astray. I will always only bring you what we know and factual reporting, and of course I'll give you my opinion. But I'm not going to speculate on something that we have no firsthand account of. I mean, I'm not in the investigation. These MAGA influencers aren't. I don't know why they're jumping the gun. And this is just yet another example of information in this story that has had to be retracted. The Wall Street Journal did it the other day in another narrative that MAGA ran with. Remember, we talked about it on this channel that the Wall Street Journal claimed that the shooter wrote trans ideology messages on the bullets, unspent casings, engraved them into the bullets. The Wall Street Journal later had to come out and say that wasn't true. They added this editor's note to their article where they claimed it, and they said an earlier version of this article, many Republicans on social media and on Fox News are now declaring war on Democrats and anybody that disagrees with them, advocating for rounding people up and arresting them in the wake of the shooting of Charlie Kirk and, of course, his subsequent passing. Now, before we even get into any clips of people like Jesse Waters saying that there needs to be some kind of revenge against Democrats for the shooting,